Honor 7X, the phone that has all the bells and whistles that a mid-range can have, at least on paper. Can it walk the talk when it comes to the real-world usage? Will this be the best budget phone under the 15K bracket? With so many contenders like the Mi A1, the Moto G5 Plus and the Redmi Note 4, can it make the cut? The Honor 7X, riding on the success of the popular Honor 6X, has a nice premium body with the in-frame 18:9 aspect ratio. I have the blue version with me and it does definitely look more nicer than the other phones in this segment. So I've been using the Honor 7X for about a month now and I have loads to talk about the phone, and by the end of this video, let's find out if this phone really is the budget phone of the year. This video is time coded, so you can just jump in right to any section that you want in the description below. The phone scores very well in the design segment. The phone feels nice to hold and has the fingerprint scanner on the correct position so that it's easier to unlock the phone. Even though the phone is a bit slippery, Huawei is mindful enough to provide a transparent silicone case along with the phone. The front has the selfie camera and the earpiece on the top. Down at the bottom, you have the earphone jack, which is becoming a rarity in smartphones, USB 2.0 and a mono speaker. The left side houses the SIM card tray along with the hybrid SIM slot. The right side has the volume rocker and the power button. Three things that I personally didn't like about the design are the placement of the volume rocker. I would have preferred it on the left side, the camera bump at the back, this keeps the phone rocking when placed on a desk, and the speaker placement. I almost always cover the speaker while playing games and using the phone in landscape. Let me quickly show you how it is when playing an actual game. Moving on to the display, this phone has a 1080p by 2160 pixels LCD screen, and by having an 18:9 aspect ratio, gaming in this phone is even better with its immersive experience. The touch sensitivity is tad lesser and the screen brightness is pretty average. The sunlight legibility is also quite poor. There is also an option to change the color temperature to your liking in the display settings, which is pretty neat in my opinion. On the whole, the screen is on par with its rival budget phones. Nothing great to talk about here. Moving on. Talking about the performance, with the homebrewed Kirin 659 processor and 4GB RAM, this phone really is a powerhouse considering the budget segment. I had no problems running any applications in this phone and the processor blazed through all the apps. Opening apps and switching between apps are pretty smooth in this phone. The phone had no problems scrolling through web pages and loading them. However, in the gaming department, I would say it was not on par with the Mi A1. The Mali T830 MP2 GPU might be the culprit here, as the Adreno 506 is a tad better when it comes to graphic intensive gaming. Other than this downside, the 4GB RAM is more than enough to store as many apps in memory so that you don't have to load them all over again. Most of the times I open an app after a day and it still keeps it in memory. Multitasking is again very easy with this phone, and it handles two apps side by side very easily, be it YouTube and navigation or be it YouTube and some other news app. Again, I hardly find stutters while normal use, be it opening different social feeds or web browsing. Honor 7X delivers a very good experience. Moving on to the camera, this phone has a dual camera setup at the rear, sporting a 16 megapixel main sensor and a 2 megapixel depth sensor. The normal shots coming from this phone were on par with the budget phones. The shots had good dynamic range and good detail when there was enough light. The low light shots turn out okay, and there is a separate mode called as the night mode. What it does is it lets you adjust the ISO levels as well as your shutter speed. So even doing that, sometimes your photo turns out to be blurry as there is no OS on board. So here are some of the shots. There is a separate HDR mode, but looking into all the photos from this device, there is definitely an auto HDR sort of processing going on, and about 50% of the time the shot taken in the HDR mode and the normal mode remains almost the same. There is a wide aperture mode as well, which changes the aperture like a DSLR from about 0.95 to 16. Even after taking the photo, you have an option to change your point of focus or even the aperture for the matter. So as you can see, I can still change the aperture levels even after taking the shot. The portrait mode again is a feature that is becoming more and more popular, and Honor 7X does tout a dual camera to take instant portrait shots. The shots, however, are not that pleasing. The bokeh is not gradual and is overdone sometimes. Most of the time I have problems clinging onto the subject, and it almost never works on anything other than a face. It struggles to produce the bokeh with other items like statues and flowers. Comparing the portrait shot with the MI-A1, Honor loses very badly. Coming to the video, this phone can shoot only up to 1080p videos, and the videos generally look very nice. Again, the dynamic range is better than its competitors. The detail and clarity is also reasonable coming from a 13K phone. This phone also has a time-lapse mode and a slow mode, but let's just not go there. It is one of the worst I've ever seen. There is no way to reduce the frame speed and the quality is quite low. The slow-mo is pathetic and 90% of the time is unusable. The phone has an 8 megapixel camera and it takes about decent selfies. And the one problem that I had was it doesn't have an exposure component that you can adjust, so it'll almost always overexpose your image. And again, the video is capped at 1080p at 30 fps, and the video that you're watching here is from the Honor 7X. Again, if you're in for a camera-centric phone, this might not be your primary choice. The MI-A1 would be an obvious choice. The phone runs on Android 7.0 with EMUI 5.1. The launcher does not have the app tray by default, but you can always enable them in the home screen settings. There are some options that you can play with the home screen layout and change it to your liking. There is no long touch, also known as the force touch, showing shortcuts for apps. As I said earlier, the UI does not stutter with normal use and is almost always smooth. There is an option to shrink the screen size for one-handed use. There is also an option to flip to mute or double tap to unlock from screen off, which I use a lot. All in all, it is a nice UI. Even though it is not stock Android, it does not feel heavy or stutter in day-to-day operations. Coming to the battery has been tremendous for me, and it has almost always lasted for a day and a half on full charge. My typical usage is about an hour of video in YouTube and 3 push mails, Bluetooth online music streaming using 4G, and I'm using a dual SIM by the way. So I have 4 social feeds which constantly provides notification and an hour of web browsing. The charging speed is quite slow and it does not support quick charging in any form. It charges about 2.5 to 3 hours to completely charge from 0 to 100. There are a few ultra power saving modes available which can increase your battery juice, and coming to the screen on time, it has always been tremendous for me, and it almost always gives 4 hours to 6 hours of screen on time. And coming to the standby time, this has been excellent for me and it almost always lasts about 1.5 days. So in the battery department, the Honor 7X fares very well. Messages have the separate section for annoying spams and marketing messages. The FP scanner also has a neat feature of pulling down the notification shade when you swipe down. You can change the navigation icon layout even though the options are less. I come from a Samsung device, and for me the back is always on the right, and I like multitasking icon on the right, so that's doable. There is a feature called App Twin where you can have two separate instances of apps, which is getting popular with dual phones nowadays. Also, one of the most important feature that is baked in with the OS is the ability to lock apps so that you can have the extra security while handing out your phone to the kids. Also, there is an option to quickly access a few apps from the lock screen without unlocking the phone. I've been using this phone with two SIMs from the start and it does not have any connectivity issues. The call quality was good without much distortions and there was no call drops. The loudspeaker in calls is way too low and also the sound from the earpiece is also quite low. When I listen to music using loudspeaker, the loudness is better than while taking calls, but it's still not that loud and clear enough. Speakers are quite poor and the sound coming from it is also not clear at times. Here is a sample of the music from the loudspeaker. The FP scanner is quite fast and responsive. Also, you can place your finger in any direction and it recognizes it. The phone comes with a compass assisting in navigation. The GPS also positions quite quickly and I tried navigating with this and the sensor is quite accurate and had no problems. Regarding the updates, the phone is still in the October security patch and there has not been a single update to the phone from the time I bought this phone. Hopefully expecting the Oreo update before February 2018. And now that we have seen all about the Honor 7X, let's see how it stacks up against its rivals. In terms of general performance, the Honor 7X does really well and the EMUI also helps a lot. Again, coming to the MIA1, it even though runs on stock Android, does not always feel good and has a lot of stutters, but then that might be fixed in the upcoming Oreo update. And about the Redmi Note 4, even though it has a powerful processor, it is let down by the MIUI and it almost always stutters or ends up being slow. In the camera department, the MIA1 definitely provides a much better picture even though it has aggressive softening going on. On the other hand, the Honor 7X does not lack much in terms of the picture quality but then loses terribly in the slow motion videos or the portrait mode or the time-lapse videos. In terms of the battery life, the Honor 7X is a champ and it almost always lasts me about a day and a half on full charge. Again, the same can be said about the MIA1 and it also has a good standby time. The one area where this loses is that the charging time of this phone is definitely slow and it takes about 2.5 hours to 2 hours 45 minutes to fully charge this from 0 to 100. In terms of the gaming powers, the MIA1 and the Redmi Note 4 would take the lead as they have the better chipset and a better GPU than the Honor 7X. Even though the Honor 7X provides you an immersive experience with the 18:9 display, it does not always give you a smooth experience in terms of gaming. So the Honor 7X, even though it's a great phone, loses to the MIA1, making the MIA1 the best budget phone that you can buy right now. The margin is minimum and who knows, Honor can come up with a software update or two and can fix the camera issues and the nickels here and there in the UI. So that's a wrap for the Honor 7X and we'll surely have more videos for you guys in this new year. And again, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and please like the videos if you have liked this. Happy New Year to all. This is Arvind signing off. Bye bye.